Good evening, and welcome back to the Sammy Show.
I can tell you that it was me who made the decision not to serve
You
us.
did. That's interesting though, because the messages I saw said that you were forced out of the party. Now go to our investigative journalist who's been responsible for the leaks day in the DCMS. We saw the DCMS secretary publicly endorsing LBC, which is a company owned by Dean, which conveniently actually signed Conor Novak as one of their new talk show hosts. Do you think this is a inside job by Conor Novak and Dean Heathcote, that they were planning to move Jeff Milby from the start?
I can't really remember now, but I remember being quite annoyed how somebody could just come out of seemingly nowhere in 2 terms.
The way that the Conservatives screwed that election was definitely surprising too.
I was forced by the government chief whip, James Ascot, to write an apology letter. After then, things only got worse.
Are you saying Joe Biden is a bad person?
Is this what you're implying?
I'm not saying.
I'm saying
maybe.
Have you seen Joe Biden?
Well, what I'm implying is that you shouldn't be copying American politics and trying to use mottos.
Are you accusing us of copying Joe Biden? No.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Oh my god.
I was at Clonmel once. Plays it up.
It's lights out, away we go. Hamilton gets away well, and he's getting towards Max Verstappen now, tries to cover him off and pushes it. All day and all night.
Good evening, and welcome back to the Sammy Show.
I can tell you that it was me who made the decision not to serve
You
us.
did. That's interesting though, because the messages I saw said that you were forced out of the party. Now go to our investigative journalist who's been responsible for the leaks day in the DCMS. We saw the DCMS secretary publicly endorsing LBC, which is a company owned by Dean, which conveniently actually signed Conor Novak as one of their new talk show hosts. Do you think this is a inside job by Conor Novak and Dean Heathcote, that they were planning to move Jeff Milby from the start?
I can't really remember now, but I remember being quite annoyed how somebody could just come out of seemingly nowhere in 2 terms.
The way that the Conservatives screwed that election was definitely surprising too.
I was forced by the government chief whip, James Ascot, to write an apology letter. After then, things only got worse.
Are you saying Joe Biden is a bad person?
Is this what you're implying?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is J Factor, and I am Jay Chan. I'm hosting this interview, and now we have 2 guests: Travis Wright, the admin of Politics UK, one of the most followed politics news outlet on Twitter, and Reba Oster, the current Prime Minister. And would you like to introduce yourself, Travis?
Yes, I am Travis. A lot of people may know me, or should know me, and if you don't, then you're a little bit ill. But yeah, I run Politics UK. I'm a good friend of Jay, if you would like to call it a friendship. I'm sure he would. And it's fantastic to be on his show here. I mean, that is a fantastic graphic behind you there, Jay. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Thank you. What about you, Reba?
Well, I've been involved in politics here in the UK for years and years and years. And I'm finally Prime Minister. Finally Prime Minister after all these years. That's all you know.
Oh, Reba, I want to ask you some questions first. So,
yeah,
there are a lot
course.
of criticisms about your decision to coalition with Conservatives, as well from Reclaim MPs, from Conservative former politicians who said they can't fully get behind it. Or I see from General News that saying that some MPs have called this coalition a funeral of the UK. What is your
Nah.
response to that?
What a load of rubbish.
So, would you say
Dismissing it is the best way forward.
would you say it's the Would you say it's the best way forward to form a grand coalition?
Yeah.
Would you find it struggling to, let's say, have a future plan, or let's say, you and Mark have a lot of disagreement. So would you say it's hard to coordinate with the disagreement? Therefore,
Definitely not. I think it's always best to work with people you don't agree with everything.
Mm.
You don't want echo chambers.
Oh, I see. I mentioned echo chamber. So would you still believe? But realistically, despite it's great that you're open for cooperation, but would you realistically believe? It might upset some hardcore Labour members, or even say, let's say, your electorate as leader of the Labour Party. Would you say it's quite struggling to get their support?
Well, I think it's in the national interest that we form this grand coalition, finally stop with this petty arguing, and work to build on our great United Kingdom.
Well,
I have a
thank you.
question. I do have a really important question. Reba, would you call this like because I'm not big into Roblox politics, to be fair, but would you call this a stable government?
Yes,
You would.
why wouldn't I?
I mean, I know, but before we came on, we were talking about the press and like how they were saying that some of your MPs had resigned. Obviously, Cheers Rafa had resigned. So, I mean, to me, that's
Cheers
not a
Rafa
stable government.
has not resigned.
I mean, those might be,
I mean,
the
whoever
realistic
likes
challenge
that.
that might put behind you. Of course, I agree that probably the Grand Coalition might be a choice without a choice. That's something I would say. But would you just realistically believe that some people are upset, and what's your plan on like reducing this kind of distress or upsetness?
Well, you see, I think the only thing I can say is watch and see what we do. Actions speak louder than words.
Would you have your confidence on establishing?
Did you steal that from a Tony Blair speech?
Right.
I haven't stolen anything from Tony Blair.
Right. Would you let's say do you have confidence that your premiership with as a coalition with Conservatives will be successful and prove those doubters wrong? Would you say that?
Again, actions speak louder than words. Watch and learn. Wait and see. We're going to do a great deal of good over the next 2 months. And really, I think I am going to go down as one of the best top 70 prime ministers of this country.
I see. Thank you very much, Reba. I believe our voters will hold you to account for what you said today. I'm very glad. Well, congratulations on
harder,
passing.
Travis. Who gives a shit?
Broken record,
language.
Reba.
But Reba, Prime Minister, I think first of all, congratulations on you passing the King's Speech, and I
Thank you.
wish you all the luck in your future premiership. I believe our voters would hold you accountable to what you said today, and I hope you reach your promise and proves the doubters wrong. Okay, now come to you, Travis. So let's talk about some in real life politics. So you're as an admin of one of the most followed, largest media outlets or politics outlets in UK politics, even actually larger than some existing newspapers. What do you think is your most, let's say, what is the hardest thing in your career as an admin of that account?
What, like a specific scenario or just in general?
Either in general or specific scenario.
Okay, the scenario was probably the Matt Hancock one, actually, because there were so many rumours. Obviously, I'm talking about when Matt Hancock was caught with Gina D'Angelo, is it? Something like that. And I remember the story breaking at 2:00 in The Sun. And the day following, there was just so many rumours to kind of sift through, and you almost didn't know what to believe. Whereas in lockdown, it was quite easy because you had the Telegraph maybe reporting one thing, then you had sort of the Times reporting another thing, and it was always difficult to correlate. But it was nothing like after what Matt Hancock did. It was the amount was mental of the amount of stories that we had to try and pick which ones to report from. We always try and do the most credible journalists. You know, we're not going to share a Daily Star story as best as we can not do that.
Yeah, well, I was saying, it's great that it's great that a person as young as you are is into politics and therefore want to deliver these messages to the public. And I think you did a great job. But even to a national audience, I can see, I believe, many MPs and Liberal Democrats themselves have used your information as their source or their graphic. Politics UK seems to have transformed how we view politics because you provide such a diverse range of media outlets.
Yeah,
however,
exactly.
let's
And
say
it is to get those young people into politics and into journalism, even. You know, I think it's really important.
But then I have to say, not to be rude, I recognize that you did a lot of positive, but I have to say some criticisms about your media outlet. There seems to be some concerns over how you seems to phrase your tweets and your news source. A lot of people have said your source is being too left wing. How would you respond to that? Let's say allegation.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We have a complaints website that people can complain to us, and if they feel like we're being biased or impartial, they can report us to our independent press regulator, InPress. And so far, no complaint has been accepted because we aren't doing anything wrong. We have a fully diverse team in terms of the political parties, the political affiliations. So some of us are Conservative, and some of us are Labour, and one of us is even Green. I don't know what's wrong with him, but we'll probably get there in the end. But yeah, no, look, I don't think, you know, when sort of the news is maybe swaying one way, when, you know, always the government in power will always be under more scrutiny than the opposition. That's a fact.
It's always this case. That's
a journalistic fact. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. So, you know, it's like people who say, "Oh, why do you always use the Daily Telegraph or the Times or the Sun for sources?" Because they're obviously more right-wing papers, and they will have more sources to go from, because they are closer to the government. They are closer to more government sources. So again, you know, there is no bias between us all. Boring. Whoa, who the
Reba, please stop using your soundboard. I'm sorry about that. Audience is a bit.
But yeah, so yeah, that is.
I see. That's great to hear. And another real life topic that was raised about some concerns is, I want to know what Reba, your stance on in real life politics is, or especially on the migrant crisis. I want to hear from both Reba and Travis about what you think about the rising number of boats and people coming into the UK via the illegal routes on the channel.
Well, Reba can go first because she's called me fucking boring.
Well, I think we have to be very careful with what we say, considering this is a Roblox platform. I feel like we run the risk of getting too involved in real life politics, and with it, maybe, I don't know, I feel like some things can turn a bit racist sometimes.
That is such a boring answer. You cannot possibly.
Says you. People are rambling on about getting whatever inside info from random Tory MPs. Who cares? Tell me. Who cares?
Well, as a matter of fact, there are record numbers of people coming into the UK via these illegal routes, which are factually dangerous. So, what about you? What do you think about it, Travis? Providing you have the first-hand information.
What about which scenario? Sorry.
Migrant crisis and
the migrant crisis.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, the migrant. I'm going to answer this directly, unlike the Labour leaders sitting to my right, in very bright red. Questionable fashion choice. Look, the migrant crisis is a tough one because there are always, in politics, there's always pros and cons to every decision. I've always been in favour of sort of like I think Priti Patel raised this. It wasn't really implemented right, but I've always been in favour of a points-based system. I think that is fair. I think what we cannot do is allow boats to essentially shore up on our beaches and allow possibly some very bad criminals in. That is unacceptable for any country to allow that. And I definitely think a first world country such as the United Kingdom should not allow that. But I understand the other viewpoints that some people may have.
I see. Would you do the most controversial one, of course, is the illegal migration bill, which was pushed back by the court, and now having a lot of amendments from the House of Lords. I believe when I was having an online meeting with an MP as the Secretary of State, she has to go frequently to the vote herself. So let's say that's an ongoing process. So I'm not sure. Well, if you don't want to comment on that, don't. But what do you, Reba and Travis, believe? Is the illegal migration bill a good idea? Is Rwanda bill really cost-effective or sustainable? Do you think the government should have a long-term plan after probably, let's say, a more cruel or less empathetic short-term plan of just getting rid of them? Do you think there should be a more sustainable plan than that, or do you think this is right like this?
Reba?
I mean, what on earth? This is Roblox. Why are we talking about boats and migrants?
Again, just so boring, such boring answer. No personality, no nothing. It's so
Says you. Your entire personality is that you. For a man who worked for politics for all.
Yeah, there you go.
You're so boring.
Is yours Roblox politics though? Isn't that?
I mean, Roblox politics is I believe Roblox politics is an extension of real life politics. I think it's helped people learn about real life politics. If there isn't a better opportunity for young people these days to actually be an MP, you have to follow these kind of protocols. You have to vote. Those things are I think Roblox politics is just an extension of real life politics. So I don't agree with you, Reba, on your unwillingness to answer or comment on real life politics. I think you should, have some views. What about you, Travis? What about the original question?
So about the Rwanda bill, as it's
and of course other sorts of policies.
Never been a fan really. I think it's just a little bit too, lots of stories coming out about the cost to the taxpayer, and obviously there is no such thing as public money. There's only taxpayers' money. Very famous quote. And no, I think it's a very ineffective plan. I don't know what I would do in if I was Prime Minister, to be quite honest. But it's definitely not something that I really support. But I'm happy to be proven wrong.
I see. I'm very glad that you have your own opinion, unlike some particular members of
indeed
of the parliament. Travis, why are you put on a clown face?
I'm not sure. That may have been that may have been the Prime Minister there to my right who has put a clown mask on me.
Well,
why not to?
I don't know how I'd be able to do that. I don't have admin, do I?
Well, I don't know what powers you have, Reba.
I see. Right. Well,
apologies for the immaturity there of the Prime Minister, Jay.
Okay. I just had the breaking news from Andre, who is a member of, of course, a part of the team of GB News, and he had addressed that they had tried to register the Mirror and they declined it because reject politician Alex Dryden and fraud and chief register Echo. How do I pronounce it? Lie that they were accepting media companies. That was what he said, not what I said. So I'm not sure Andre would like to address that on that. But the fact is, as they say, the mirror registration was declined. I'm not sure if what he said, the reason is true, but that's the case. So jumping next about Travis, are you here? Do you hear?
Yes, I'm here.
Travis, what? Try not to let the Prime Minister colour your face. So, do you believe that the government of their 5 priorities, are they really delivering that, or are they just waffling on the Parliament?
Well, look, the 5 priorities, it's impossible to tell. It's impossible to tell. And, you know, when I say to people, like, I'm a Conservative, people think, oh, you must have loved Boris Johnson, you must love Rishi Sunak, you must have loved Liz Truss. It's just simply not true. Look, I think on the 5 priorities, I think it's impossible to tell, because I think is it by the end of the year that Rishi Sunak said? And you know, we're currently in July, mid-July, so I think it's impossible to tell. I think what it is it's an example of good messaging, because people will naturally remember those 5 key priorities. Whereas sort of Keir Starmer, you know, as much as I want to like him, I can't, because his messaging is just so poor. I don't really know what he stands for. He U-turns a lot, and he's sort of just not my type of leader. Then again, nor is Rishi Sunak, so that's my...
I see. Thank you very much, Reba and Travis. I have Reba, I want to ask you a question, the very last question. Are you actually Reba, or are you as was communicated by Political Discussion channel?
Why wouldn't I be Reba? Why wouldn't I be Reba?
Because
I am me.
Because
can you not hear my voice?
Because I don't know. Are you Rafa instead?
No.
Are you sure?
Can you not hear my voice?
Okay, I don't.
I am quite clearly a woman.
I can tell. Well, here we go. Thank you very much, Reba, Supreme Reba, and Travis. Thank you very much, and let's go to advertisement. Tim.
Roadside Cargo Solutions, fueling your logistics chain.
Police emergency. Warning Marcos, violent kidnap and robbery.
Open the door! Taser, get over here now!
Don't start resisting. Don't start resisting, mate.
Derbyshire's traffic cops, chasing criminals in the heart of the country.
Stay where you are! Stay where you are!
Policing 1,000 square miles.
Get out! Get out now!
Yeah, they're crossing the southbound carriageway and Paz. We've got a mid-side.
Dealing with the dangerous and desperate. In life and death situations.
There's a smell of gas, so can you go inside your house? Please stay where you are!
Under pressure. And under threat.
He was sat with that behind his back.
Every day is a new challenge for the traffic cops.
London. Over 8.5 million people. Most don't really know us. They just know we're here, helping them sleep at night, keeping them safe, protected, away from the gangs, the drugs, the knives. But for some, for the 160,000 we arrest, they don't sleep so easy. We're the first through the door, catching the thieves, the muggers, the murderers. It can be the hardest job in London. But ask any of us why we do it, and we'll tell you we wouldn't do anything else. Because we're a team, getting it done, dealing with life, death, crime, and its victims. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Each one different to the next. It's why we can't wait for our shift to start, and sometimes end. But knowing you're doing good, stopping others do bad, makes you feel proud. Taking care of family, friends, neighbours, London. It's the greatest reason the
just got the call that it is a Conservative majority government.
This has been an unprecedented movement.
It looks like the Conservatives might win a majority.
Josh Miller has been found guilty of corruption.
It's a fucking shambles from the top to the fucking bottom.
Hello, welcome back to J Factor. Now we are talking about the coalition and the King's speech. We have two guests, Callum and Hunter. Would you like to introduce yourself, Callum and Hunter?
Hello guys, yeah, it's Callum Cathcart here. I know you will love me. Thanks.
And Hunter?
And I'm DNC Hunter, also previously known as Clement Warren.
Yes, so we are today we're talking about the coalition, the Grand Coalition, which is very rare. No one have ever imagined it to happen before the general election. So the first time Reba tried to pass the King's speech, it failed. And another problematic general election that came up was people still seemingly not knowing what party they want to vote for, which reclaim against any sort of coalition. Progressives denied any sort of coalition, and the only thing left that can form a government is Labour and Conservative coalition, which happened magically, was two enemies now working together. So, Callum, what do you think about this coalition?
I think it's a shambles. It's honestly the worst coalition I've ever seen. Like, I know they didn't even want to do it. Marcus, Reba, they're all hiding away in political discussion. They said nothing. They're just waiting for, I don't know, just getting all their little terrible MPs to back them up. The coalition.
Well, I'm no longer a Tory MP. I'm no longer a Tory MP. Another guy had replaced me. And what do you think about the coalition, Hunter?
Well, yeah, so yes, thank you for having me, Jay. It's great to be here.
Yes.
Indeed, tonight's coalition between both, kind of the Labour Party and the Conservatives is kind of a significant step towards fostering unity across our kind of political landscape. Obviously, as our listeners are aware, as you may be aware, Jay, as Callum should be aware, it is a rare occurrence. The last time we saw such a collaboration between these two parties was actually back in 2021, where Billy Boy served as the 73rd Prime Minister, I think, during that coalition between both Labour and the Conservatives. And although his, office, his time in office, was kind of cut short exactly 70 days, in fact. So it does prove that these coalitions do work. It worked for 70 days previously, back in 2021. I'm aware things have changed since then, but that previous coalition demonstrated the potential for, cooperation and shared responsibility.
Even though they've slandered each other for 3 days, non-stopping in campaigning feed, and the week before they slandered each other.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to do what you got to do, Callum.
You got to do what you got to do. No one supports this coalition.
Let me ask
no one
you a
supports it.
question. Let me ask you, Callum. So there was a poll just in from GB News, the mother company of GB News. I don't know how it works. So it says that a lot of people actually believe that they are betrayed by the major parties. But personally, I think it's a choice without choice. You made a choice to form a coalition despite seemingly the entire campaign is about attacking another major party. But without a coalition, you can't form government. I believe His Majesty the King had previously have said that you might have to deregister some party or even go for that route. So it might be actually very difficult kind of a condition. So what do you think?
I don't think the King should be able to deregister parties. DNC Mark has proposed a amendment to remove that, and I fully support it when it comes to the House of Lords.
Wait, sorry. What are you calling me?
Yes, do you think the King should be able to do
yeah, so in this kind of aspect, I think it is right for, us to voice our concerns on parliamentary democracy. In fact, I do agree with Callum on some bits, saying that, the King shouldn't really be the one to decide, let's just deregister this party. But we have seen previously he has done it for the Communist Party, I do believe, and it saved us. It saved us completely. I don't know the ins and outs of the Communist Party previously. That was registered a couple months ago or weeks ago, whatever it was. But in that kind of aspect of things, I think it was right for someone, at least him, to step up to the electoral
commission chair who deregistered it and then told the King.
No, I think it was.
Well, technically, it was
of the King.
I mean, either way, like far past like extremist parties on.
Either way, he has
far left, far right. They're not allowed anyway.
So either way, he has the power for it. So until that amendment does pass as the House of Lords and the Commons, nothing much can be done other than voicing our concerns.
Well, it comes to a lot of concerns that maybe the decision to form a coalition when the two major parties are actually against each other, they might find it difficult to sustain a government or even sustain their original voters. Voters might even be more dissatisfied. That's how some people will have analysed that. People are more dissatisfied about it.
People are swapping parties because they're looking at this and they're like, "Oh,
this is a shit show." That's some of the evidence of those theories. Some people with the more pessimistic, let's say, view about this situation believe that it might cause a long-term effect over the stability of the politics.
It will.
You might see rise in small parties.
They don't care about who their voters are.
Well, Jay, I did bring in that and a kind of evidence to support my claims earlier that it does in fact work. Previously Binny Boy served, in the Labour and the Conservatives in 2021, and that was 70 days. But obviously, after Binny Boy, after those 70 days, the Labour Party, led by Dina Heathcote, formed a minority government. So, the evidence is clear that these two major political parties can work together if they put their minds to it. And I think it is good that Westminster now has a shared kind of responsibility. And, them saying that they can't work together in the House before, I've been in Parliament.
Do you seriously think they can work together? A genuine question.
I think Callum had raised the point. Do you? Because we were quite different from before. What was that before? I wasn't here, but I'm sure that we are quite different from what was before. So would you let's say just say, do you really think Reba? Do you have confidence that Reba and Marcus would be working together as a match?
You know what? It's worked before. Why can't it happen again?
Seriously, you think it's going to work?
Well, you know what? I think
give it a few weeks. There'll be a new election.
Time will play out.
Election.
Okay, time will play out. We'll see where it goes. You can hold me to my word on this, but I believe that it will work. Evidence has shown that it's worked before, not necessarily with Reba and Marcus, but like I said, the last election that we had earlier this month, every vote counts. They lost by one vote again. So the two main political parties that everyone voted for, it's not like, the Labour Party, forming a coalition with Reclaim. It's not like the lowest amount of votes. Obviously, it is parliamentary democracy at the end of the day. Labour won the general election and the Conservatives were, second, by one vote. So I think this will work. Evidence has shown it's worked in 2021.
It's not really democracy though. When the King's pressuring them to coalition, and you got Doug Domerdo on his left saying, "If you have any respect for the institutions of this country, another election won't happen."
Parliament has confidence in the actual King's speech itself. Otherwise, it wouldn't have passed.
But yeah, that's obvious though, because there's a majority of government MPs, so of course it's going to pass.
Oh yes, but the King's speech might not always reflect what the British people really think. So there can be a more comprehensive polling, but the current TV News poll actually suggests that people do feel betrayed. So Hunter, as a person pro-coalition, what's your word for Reba and your words for Marcus, two main political parties? To squeeze, to just calm down that kind of distress that many voters have felt. To avoid further.
Yeah, of course. I think my message that I have to say to Reba, or say about Reba, in fact, is that simply we have seen that she is dedicated. She is dedicated to her role as leader of the Labour Party.
You've seen her at Commonwealth Secretary General. She gave up after 1 week. She closed the Commonwealth, and
there are many controversies.
What I have to say is that she is dedicated to her role, and I think that. Honestly, I think both of them, both the Deputy Prime Minister and now the Prime Minister, will see it through. And obviously, I don't know what the kind of opposition parties will think of it all. I do believe you're in Reclaim, aren't you? Correct? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Reclaim has its history. The owner, the previous party leader was banned for toxicity. The now cabinet member was bad for toxicity.
How has this to do with the coalition? There's nothing to do with the coalition. We're here to discuss the coalition.
About Reclaim. You know what I say about Reclaim?
Hunter. I think.
Either way, people still support Reclaim. You got this coalition. People are still coming to us.
Hunter, I think Callum about this one is right. Hunter, because of a coalition,
yes.
the Reclaim Party, which you dislike, seems to have getting more support because
not that I don't
many
dislike.
Tory voters seems to have say, why have you formed a coalition that would make Reba the Prime Minister and then shift to Reclaim? So Reclaim,
like
a party which you don't like, might get more parliamentary seat. It might cause further instability. Which Callum, you might be favour of that because you know the main point of Reclaim and Progressive is that the major party betrayed them. But Hunter, how would you address this kind of concerns?
Well, I've said this before. The evidence is clear. Back in 2021,
They're friends,
we've got
of course it's going to work.
We've got to see it
that's
through.
the backbone of
and
it.
obviously,
Friends work together.
We'll let Hunter be heard.
But obviously, previously in Parliament, I've sat in Parliament for a few days and obviously decided, it's not for me. Journalism's my kind of thing.
How are you on the show? You're BBC. You're supposed to be impartial.
And, in fact, actually, the fact is that the opposition previously, such as the Labour Party, didn't really want to work with the Conservatives when they were in government. They kept on denying their bills, etc. And I think, despite my own personal views on that, I think those two parties, both the opposition and the government, should work together on bills, party unity, in fact. But obviously, they've had that in the past. I think this just demonstrates the potential for cooperation, shared responsibility between the two major political parties. And obviously, I must say, it is truly great to see familiar faces such as Liz Margaret back as Speaker of the House of Commons.
They don't want cooperation. They're forced into the government by
Callum, I'll come to you now. Thank you very much, Hunter. I come to you now, Callum. So you are against the coalition. Your party is Reclaim. So your party also does not support the coalition. But as many people have said, is what kind of alternative do you offer instead of the coalition? Because you're the party that caused it. Because Reclaim is the party that
we say with the British people. We've said time and time again, we were not coalition. And people think we were discussing coalition with Tories. We weren't. It was a complete joke. Ben Henley asked for every single position for senior department-wise. We didn't want a coalition. The King told us to get discussions going on the table, and we did, but we trolled.
The King must form a government, so the Lords, so still elected government. So because Reclaim is the party that have denied coalition again and again, very clearly, the attitude is quite strong. Wouldn't you say that Reclaim is part of the blame for this coalition, or wouldn't you say probably 100%. At your position, the coalition seems to be the only choice for the two parties?
What do you mean?
So, because a coalition is impossible between two right-wing parties and two left-wing parties, neither of them are possible to even form a coalition because Reclaim and Progressive have denied from any sort of coalition government. So, what is your thought? Do you think we need to call another general election after failed King's Speech, and another coalition?
Yeah, what is the alternative?
Do you think election must be held?
Yes. If they can't form a government, they can't form a government. Democracy is democracy. The King shouldn't have a say in the politics at all. If Tom did this, people would be asking to abdicate. There'd be protests everywhere. Martial law would be declared. It would be a mad one. But it's all changed now. If Robbie got involved, if Tom got involved, everything would change. It's just because it's a new guy.
Sorry, but Jay, this is ridiculous. We've seen the same amount of, we've seen the same result every single time. The past two general elections, we've
you have 3 days for campaigning. 3 days for campaigning.
This guy to my left wants another election.
Campaigning.
The only last resort that I see is a Lords government, which was last ran by Conor Novak, which only lasted 13 days. Callum, to my left, wants another general election. I don't know how the Electoral Commission feels about this, but I think I can gather what their thoughts would be on this. And I think what the King's thoughts on it would be quite the same as well.
Of course, the Electoral Commission are going to agree. They're literally in that meeting telling them to work together, forcing them to.
3 general elections in a month. Do you think if there was another general election to be called, Reclaim
an interim government then? Get a former Prime Minister to it.
Let's have a break from this debate.
If there was another general election called, would you be confident in Reclaim's stability?
Oh, I quite like your question.
How would that threaten Reclaim stability?
Well, I don't know I don't know what other result
It was
you would
3
want
days
from a
campaigning.
general election other than your own party.
Labour could have coalitioned with Progressives from the start.
But they
were-
didn't.
They were, yeah, because they
Either
fucked
way,
it up.
you would
That's
have
what, that's
prohibited
their
it.
fault. How's it
Either
Reclaim's fault?
either way,
have a few call-ins.
Reclaim
So
has no
prohibited.
part in this because they failed to coalition with Progressives.
Right. You know what? I've said
If
my
you literally,
piece.
if you watch the
have a
debate,
few
you can
calls.
see.
Provided the evidence. You
we
know,
do have a few call-ins. I think I hope Willy Wonka is still online. Whose previous name has Boris Johnson, who is, I believe, he is now a Conservative member of Parliament, and he was a Conservative Parliament who sat right next to me when I was the Tory MP for Westminster. Would you like to have a word, Average?
Can't talk now.
Yes, you can talk now.
Yeah.
So, well, as you heard the previous discussion of the two, of Callum and Hunter, you talked about two kind of solutions for the current situation. Well, number one is call another general election. The second one is actually form a Labour Conservative government. So let's talk about the first option. Do you have confidence as a Conservative MP that you will win, if an election were to happen, that you will win the next general election?
Well, sadly, I actually haven't been selected as an MP, unfortunately, by the Tories.
Screw the Tories.
That's sad.
Yeah, I know, I agree with that, Callum.
Come to Reclaim.
They said to me that I was on their shortlist, which I reckon they're lying to me.
I see. Well, you support or against? Because you're, of course, you have been here longer than I had.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Would you say you do have confidence as a Conservative now that your party will win a general election if it were to be called?
Well,
Jay,
we have a coalition with Labour and Tories. It's complete madness. There's protesting on the streets of Westwood as we're talking right now. There's fire beasts everywhere.
It's like France, isn't it?
Complete chaos. And I reckon we need I reckon we can't allow this, and I reckon we need an election now before it's too late.
Do you think we do need an election now? Do you think? Well, Callum, you're here. You have to reclaim Conservative two major right-wing parties. Do you, Callum, and do you believe that you will win the majority next time?
Of course not. We're still a new party. We literally registered before the election. But
You're not a new
we will of course increase our seats. If there was
you had quite a actually astonishing performance during the general election, larger than many.
This is benefiting Reclaim Party and Progressives Party. This is doing worse.
Reclaim Party in real life have only one MP, and that's a Tory defector. I believe he's a madman.
Oh, wait,
I don't support him, but here we go. That I believe that in Roblox politics is an insane amount of seats, percentage of seats that Reclaim is getting. Do you have confidence? Because you said you want stability, you don't want a coalition. Do you have confidence, Callum, that your party will win a majority, large enough seats to form a government in the zone?
I hope we do get enough seats, but the reality is we won't. We started last
then
election.
Why do you want another general election?
Because democracy is democracy. They've been forced to do the government.
Reba
Astor and Marcus have been silent.
I mean, here's the problem, Callum.
There's protests every day. No one wants
Willy Wonka. Let's continue with Willy Wonka. Boris, do you think that you can win a majority or large enough seat the next general election as Conservative?
Well, Jay, the Tories are in the coffin now, I must say. The Tories are going completely downhill with this new coalition, saying that and it's complete chaos. We cannot. As I said, we cannot allow this. They should not do this collusion. Sorry, in the first place, it was a big mistake for the party. And you know, Jay, I've spoken to many Tory MPs, former ones and current ones, including Jamie, former Speaker of the House, and he said that this is terrible. We cannot have this. Even Tory MPs are agreeing with this. We cannot have this. This is terrible, and it's terrible for our democracy.
I think we get a few more call-ins. I hope Tim would help sorting it out. Tim, would you first? Before that, Tim is the admin of this show, by the way. He controls everything. So, Tim, would you like to show me the quote by my predecessor, Mark?
While you're doing that, Tim, can we discuss actually? Oh,
right. So, would you like to discuss on this statement? Because it was I think as a predecessor, MP for West Mercia, because it was what they caused quite a stir when my seat was taken away by Reclaim. So, would you like to say comment on this statement? Callum, start with you.
It is 100% true. We need an election. This is only benefiting Reclaim Party. Other parties are taking the hit. It's probably benefiting progressives as well.
Callum, I think I think audience watching this television have a problem. Have a question to you, Callum. You asked Reclaim. You said you won't win a majority, and you don't want to have a coalition. Aren't you just leaving sort of only options of forming a workable, as you said, a coalition, or keep having general elections?
Huh?
Because
we represent the British people. If the British people vote for us, they ideally don't want to see a coalition. We work for the people. You see all these other governments, they want to get in power. They're all power hungry.
Amen.
Well, I can see we get a few call-ins from Thomas. Thomas, would you like to comment on this?
It's a shambles. Frankly, 65% of the country didn't vote for Reba Ostor as Prime Minister. And then if they weren't voting for Reba Ostor, then they definitely they were voting for Marcus or an alternative. For the past 9 months, Labour and the Conservatives have fundamentally disagreed on big issues, and now they've jumped into bed with each other. The reason why? Because the king forced it and because they're hungry for the power. Those are the facts of the matter. Hunter can bring up 2021. He wasn't here in 2021. No. Well, you really? I'm pretty sure you were causing trouble. I'm pretty sure you were trouble.
Check your facts.
I'm pretty sure you were causing trouble in ZUK. At the end of the day, the Grand Coalition, as Callum said, it would only work if they were friends. And the only thing in common with Reba and Marcus is that they're both from Scotland. They've got absolutely nothing in common apart from their desires to get into power.
They don't even like each other. That's the bad thing.
They don't like each other, and they've attacked each other for the past week or so. It's out of hand that we're allowing this to happen because we've got a king that would rather kill this summer of politics and attend another state opening. It's completely and utterly shocking, to be honest.
And I think we have got a lot of call-ins now. That's just getting a bit out of hand. Do apologise to him. Do we have another call in the chat, in the voice chat?
Hey, Jay, can I say something first?
Yes, of course, Cameron. I think we have a lot of guests who are anti-coalition, showing that. So I think we will let Hunter have a statement after you. Yes,
so Clement, you brought up Thomas Henley's ban along with Ben Henley's for toxicity.
Yeah.
But it's multiple gifs of you saying racist comments.
What has this got to do with
That is
coalition?
so disgusting. I can't believe you've
And
said
you
that.
accused Thomas of toxicity. Well, you brought it up first. I didn't. You brought it up first. You say they were banned for toxicity.
I'm
so
not
I think it's
banned
only
from the
found.
community. And never have I once been banned.
Okay, well,
from the
you
community.
still
We are
said it,
speaking
though.
about this
Still said it.
community, not another community. And is this related to the coalition? Is this related to
You brought it up. You brought it up.
Let's get up. You brought it up, but then group staff also unanimously allowed us back in. So what's the problem?
What, after a month? After 2 months?
Well,
Yeah,
after a month.
That's how it works.
Jay,
You appeal
Jay,
after
is
some
this
months.
related to your question?
Oh, here we are.
Oh,
Because I
well,
don't
here we
believe
go.
it.
BBC
Prove
impartial
wrong.
deputy
This is the
chairman.
typical-
Whatever, sorry.
Well,
this is the typical.
Right. Let's calm down a bit.
Parliamentary
God, and
Thomas,
and
I
pull the
think you have done your call-in, so let's other members be heard. So, Hunter, because we do have a lot of guests who are anti-coalition, and I think you heard what they say. Would you like to do some comments? Would you still stand with your point?
Well, I've said it openly on Twitter. I think, we must all, respect parliamentary democracy. Reba won by one vote, same as the last election. I don't know what. Right. Okay. No need to correct me. Correct me when you actually have your word.
There obviously is a need to correct.
What I want to say to those people is, I don't know what you guys want. We've had two general
we need another election.
We need another general election
if
now.
you don't let me speak, you won't know.
Yeah, please let Hunter be heard. I think we try not to be unbalanced here.
In respect of everyone else, and the fact of the matter is, we can't have another general election. Otherwise, we'll see the same kind of result. Okay, but
we won't though. We won't though. More people have contributed.
We saw an increase of voters in the general election.
Okay,
let's take in turn. Thank you very much, Hunter. I think you had delivered. I think you all have delivered.
If there was another general election and we saw the same result as we have done, the last two times as well, they're going to call for another general election as well. Now, if they're really upset about this, call for a motion of no confidence, and we'll see how far that will get you.
Well, let's
have other callings be heard.
I'm going to carry on speaking, so whether you listen to me or not is another.
I don't think it's called your name, mate.
Hunter, calm. Only speak when I call you.
We are going into what should be the most active time in politics. I
think from the number of people in this DC right now, we can see that.
There are 43 government MPs, 17 opposition MPs. How on earth is there meant to be any proper scrutiny and any opposition to this tyrannical government when they've got a supermajority? It just doesn't work.
Is that your only defence to the
government? You do want the general election?
It's not the only defence.
Can we get map plans later? Map plans, and we have Adaptive Frost and map plans. I think Edmund have stayed here for a long time. So let's start with Edmund. What do you think? Are you for or against the coalition?
Well,
Edmund's are choosing us. Why do we have him on?
Okay,
Thomas.
It's time to be quiet. Thanks. So, yeah, he didn't like that, I imagine. But anyway, here's the thing: the coalition. I thought it's not brilliant. Admittedly, I think we can all recognise that this isn't an ideal situation, and I will give Reclaim this. It's not perfect, and really it should be Labour versus Tories at the end of the day.
1 second.
Go on.
Callum, please
It's just a short thing. Four-star party merged into the Tories just to get one portfolio. Minister without portfolio. How sad.
Okay.
Honestly,
thank you very much. Matt, please let's one by one. Please do not just let others of my coins be heard, or my coins will explode at the telephone in front of me, and I will die. Okay, please, Edmund. Would you like to add that?
Well, as I was about to say, at the end of the day, it's not ideal. I think we all recognise that. But going into a further election, it's a bit ridiculous at this point. No one wants to exhaust voter fatigue another time. It's not fun to do elections constantly. And at the end of the day, we just need to sit down, pass some laws, make some progress, and sure, we can have an election in a few months' time again. It's not like it's not the end of elections.
Okay.
Just one election.
So
right.
May I just
Thomas, you have said a lot of things tonight. No, I'll get back to you later.
He mentions voter fatigue, but the fact of the matter is we had a midweek election and we are now back to pre-October voter records. Imagine if we had an election during the summer holidays, which is supposedly meant to be the most active time of politics. More people will be free to vote, more people will be free to campaign. We would see a higher votes. Oh, for goodness sake, my robot.
Yes, but this is what happens when you deny the King's speech last time.
I don't think that's how.
I don't know why you're complaining when you denied against the King's speech. The last time.
The King's speech was absolutely shambolic.
It was.
However, this time it's practically the same, and it passed.
Right. Can we? I think. Edmund, have you finished?
MPs. Get that through your thick skull.
Oh my god. If the audio is that chaotic now, I will literally kill myself live on TV. Thank you very much. Okay. Edmund, have you finished?
Yeah, I think I've said
Okay. Great. Okay, now it's the turn, I believe, of my friend Adaptive Frost. No, not you. Later, you after. You later. Adaptive Frost. Are you for or against coalition? Just and also you used to be the deputy prime minister, so I think you have a lot of things to say about it.
I think quite frankly, Marcus needs to look himself in the mirror. He's made a deal with the devil. You know.
Ooh.
He personally.
I can hear the noises of your mic.
Of the coalition, you're going to give the keys to Rebbe Asta, but then he goes on to do the same thing and gives Rebbe Asta prime minister. So where does it stand?
I think you raised a point here because many. I don't think that was previously raised. So that's a lot of people who don't want Rebbe Asta as prime minister. But see that Rebbe Asta went into number 10. That's why they can be upset because of this coalition. People can also be upset. Well, what do you refer to the point, Adaptive Frost? Because you are against the coalition. It's the choice left is either you convince Callum and his party to form a coalition with the Tories or whatever, or which is unlikely to do, or you call another general election. Do you think another general election would end differently? Would it cause even more chaos? Would it be even worse off?
I think, quite frankly, the king shouldn't be getting involved in these matters. There should have been a general election. You know what I mean? Like, he wanted to deregister two parties and have a two-party election. It's just shambolic for democracy.
Born in the USA, that's what I say.
Would you say that this kind of coalition debate seems to have put a pressure on the monarchy's credibility?
I think it's decredited them. I mean, if Tormentian did this, it would have just been raps for him. He would have to abdicate, because if Robbie, it's different. I mean, it's just shambles, man.
I see. Thank you very much for your input, Adaptive. So, Matt, what I noticed, Matt, can you speak? You muted yourself.
Hello, Jay.
Yeah, just say hi. Okay. So, Matt, I noticed. I'm not sure if you're in this server or not. You had ran as an independent MP before.
No, not here, Jay. But anyway, what I say is
you were in British Roblox politics a long time. You are a very old name. I can see you often on Twitter as well. You're a very old name, so I think you also have a lot to speak. What are you for or against this coalition?
I'm against the coalition, Jay.
We have so many callers against coalition. So why? So again, I think many anti-coalition viewpoints are delivered.
If you ask me, I think Reba and Marcus are both enemies of democracy, because nobody voted for this, and they've just. I think it's a backroom coalition deal, and it's shambolic, and it's just frankly disappointing that it was allowed to happen. If you look at the main server, go to the Question of the Day channel. It's been asked if people approve of this coalition, and 73 people have downvoted it, while only 28 have upvoted it. So it's not just me, it's not just Tom, it's not just Adapted that think this is shit. It's literally majority of the electorate. So I think
that's the main argument against it, as that was delivered before. Because votes, I say it to my audience, voters voted, many of them, for the party to get in number 10. They don't want Rebbe in. Many of them don't want Rebbe in. So when Marcus and Rebbe form a coalition, putting Rebbe into number 10, many voters who voted against her would say, what is going on, and be unhappy about it. However, I have to, just like I question everyone against coalition, I have to question you, Matt Plants. Do you think a general election, which is the only option to not form a coalition, do you think it will make British politics more stable, or even, because many people have said, it will actually be worse?
You know what? Even though I don't really disagree with what Robbie has done, and it's really different views in the Reclaim Party, but I don't really disagree. I think he acted in the best interest of the country, and I would have loved to see like a Lord's government or something else instead of this. And also, can I ask DNT Hunter? I thought you were a BBC director. How come you're here?
Am I? Am I?
I believe the BBC
Impartial
directed.
figure.
I
this
believe
related
that
to general
BBC and
No, I'm just
individuals
asking
from the
because
BBC can
you
have their
have-
own opinions.
you have
Thank you very much.
violated impartiality.
Feel free to make a report.
Well, I think
Don't worry,
about
we'll-
that, about the BBC, we're able to discuss it until another time. We're now on the coalition. So well, thank you very much, Matt Plans, for your input. I have quite a lot of people just wombling to me saying they want to come on into the let's say the call-in. I'm trying to get in touch
We're
with
not
more of
pushing.
them, but I want to come back to you, Hunter. So because we have a lot of call-ins against the coalition, and those are I do apologize for for we might not feel very great because of that. Would you say? Would you insist that Would you insist that? Sorry. How would you, let's say, justify that? Let's say a general election would be a good idea. That you need to convince my audiences.
Yeah, you know what? I can't justify it simply because there is a risk that we will see the same result. There is that risk, and I think we all have to take responsibility and actually, snap back into reality and see, you know what? There is an actual massive risk that we might see the same result, maybe even the exact same result. And I have my own personal opinion on this. I think if you didn't vote in the general election, your opinion shouldn't, come to the table. That's how I see it. If you honestly did not vote in the last general election, I honestly believe, hand on heart, that you shouldn't be able to voice your opinion on it in this coalition.
That was quite a controversial statement.
Yes, voice your opinion in the government, when weeks in, but not necessarily the
How would
day.
you respond for the frustration? Let's say many frustrations I've heard about.
You know what?
About
people will get frustrated either way, Jay Chan. So even if the Conservatives won by a majority, even if Reclaim won by a majority, someone or a group of people or a large group of people would complain. Time and time again, we've seen the same people complain. Same people, stick to the same role, stick to the same party, and it's not the fact that we need another general election. We've had a general election, we've had another general election, and these people are calling for another general election. If we had another general election with the same result or near enough the same result that ended up the same, what would they do then?
Can I ask
Ask
something?
for another general election? It is silly. We need to believe in parliamentary democracy, and the two most supported parties, the most two supported parties in the electorate has formed a coalition. So the majority of the British majority of the British people should be actually supporting this coalition.
Well, they don't.
They were elected for.
I'm not
I don't know who
surprised.
invited you to speak.
That's a
I don't know who
completely-
invited you to speak,
No,
mate.
completely
But
silly
I
argument.
Jay to actually take control of the stage from.
Sorry.
I've got a question. Why do we need to trust Parliament?
Why do we need to trust Parliament?
Why
Did
do
you
we
say?
need to trust Parliament when
Can I ask
Parliament
something?
has put us through?
Would you
a
rather?
fucking
Would I?
system?
Can I ask something about Hunter? Of course, you're
Let's say
pro
something,
coalition.
please.
Do you think it should have done, let's say, better with more communication, better consultation with party members and voters to justify why we want this coalition?
Yeah.
How would it end up? Do you think we should have done better with that?
In terms of that, I think we need to wait to see what the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister says. I didn't personally look at the King's speech in terms of the debate, so I don't know what points the government made. But obviously, I'll be looking at that.
Can I ask?
But
They didn't
in
make
terms
any
of-
debate.
Thomas,
They
quiet,
Okay,
please.
I don't know why you're speaking. So in terms of all of that, I think we have to wait to see how it plans out. And if they do screw up, I'll probably be one of the first people to actually, speak my mind because I am like that.
You're like that.
Okay, but I don't know why you're speaking.
Like that.
I don't know why
Can we let Hunter be heard? Because I think the point against the point against coalition was quite delivered. Sorry, Callum, later. Callum.
The problem is we've got people like Hunter
Thomas
who will flip-flop from one side to another because they've got no conviction.
What?
Reclaim promise that we would not go into coalition.
Right, Thomas,
and
go to your
we have
party
got the
leader.
backbone.
Go to your party leader. Go to the party leader of Reclaim. He offered me deputy leader. That's all I'm going to say, and I've got evidence of that just before Ben accepted it. So if you really want to try and scrutinise me, I won't even say scrutinise me.
I understand the argument.
Lovely speaking to you. It's a shame you lost your seat in the Conservatives. Have a lovely day, Tim and Jay.
It's a shame that I've got another seat in the House of Commons now.
Leaving already.
I've got. Yeah,
well,
that's
I'm afraid Hunter
this is why people that say that black people should be sentenced to death shouldn't be given a platform on GB News.
Well, anyway, well, I think we do have a few. Well, let's say, I think Hunter's point was delivered. He'd say that because the two major elected party was in the House of Commons. Therefore, they form therefore, for form a coalition, it should be trusted by the British public. That's the main viewpoint by, let's say, the pro-coalition people argument. An anti-coalition people argument would say it because voters have voted against Labour as Prime Minister. I think is well delivered. So we have another call in from His Royal Highness Funky Monkey. Would you like to have a word? Are you for or against this coalition?
I can't be asked.
Fraud.
Funky Monkey?
Can I just ask, like, seriously?
What did you just call Matt?
Oh,
yes, ask your question, Callum.
Right. I wanted to ask if he would have supported an interim government and then we get back to elections because it's summer holidays coming up. If you had a week of an interim government, party could sort their stuff out, sort their manifestos out, sort their policies, sort their cabinet. We could have done an election there because there's summer holidays coming up.
Point. I think Callum, by having another kid,
we didn't have to do this. Robbie should have 43. Oh, I don't want to be Tom. So what? I'd rather much have an interim government. I think like most people would as well.
What he did was worse than Tom, in my opinion. The fact that he forced a coalition by threatening deregistration is worse than Tom. It's a fact.
I think Callum raised a good point. It might be a doable option. Funky Monkey, are you still here? Can you speak?
It doesn't have to be Lord's government either. Literally anyone, former Prime Minister. I couldn't care who it was. Just like serve for that 1 week or whatever. Even if it was like.
I love that the people that we've brought in to defend the coalition are
can you guys hear me? Yes or no?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello, Funky Monkey. Here we go. We have another call in from Funky Monkey. Are you for or against the coalition?
I'm for the coalition.
Oh god.
Okay.
Of course you are.
Oh, here we have another valid viewpoint.
Just
just
because you got a cabinet job out of it, that's all.
Would Matt, just everyone in the call in, just let another viewpoint be heard. Funky Monk, why are you for the coalition?
Because you can't have a third election. It's a bit ridiculous.
Because I got a cabinet spot. No. Have you not heard the
if
arguments
you continuously have
elections? Most of the electorate
it won't work. There's no choice.
Funky be heard.
You need some period of stability. And I'll tell you now, this government's not going to last the whole term. Something will happen which will make one of the parties leave. I'll tell you that much now. And then once that happens, there'll at least be some time for at least one party to come up front.
The Conservatives have made a deal
Reclaim don't have to end up in a coalition because nobody wants Reclaim in government.
I think Reclaim that's
no one wanted the Conservatives either.
Yes,
just like an
Callum,
alternative.
I would have said to him, right, HR, you said we don't want third election. That's fair enough, but would you not say a week of interim government at all, like just 1 week, and we could sort out everything? Parties could get their stuff back together, manifestos ready, policies ready. Would you not rather 1 week of interim government? Okay, he's muted. Nice.
HRH Funky Monkey, when you're back, I just want to know: do you think Reba Astor is a competent politician?
I find it so ironic that Funky Monkey's coming onto the airwaves to say that this will bring stability, even though he's been Reba's biggest critic in the Conservative Party, saying that they're an electoral loss and that she's incompetent and that she should have resigned. And then he claims that it's going to be strong and stable. He's disconnected now, which is
he's disconnected,
which is typical of the Tories. For when they get scrutinised, they bugger off.
Well, I quite well. I'm looking quite now looking for other. Oh, he will join in a bit. So we'll get into other viewpoints now. So now we as I have many people have raised concerns over the coalition is that it seems to have been a very frustrating choice for the British people or the British politics at all. You see, another general election might just result in the same way, or end in the same way. Callum, can you not dance at my background? Thank you very much. It might end in the same way, and therefore have another kind of political instability, or even worse than it. And one side also say, because it is simply seen now by polls, by people's emotion in chats, by people at what people do at Westbridge. People seems to be very unsatisfied about this coalition because many people have voted against Reba, against the Labour government, but now the Tories, who most people vote against Labour have voted for, had say, let's get Reba into number 10, which is not what people want, and also what the King said, might be taken out of context in its defence, have also caused many anger. From what we see from the media, from what we see from people's atmosphere in the game and in the chat, people are not happy about it. So it's neither side seems to be, a workable plan. So because many people left here are anti-coalition, what would you think election would help? Do you think, what is your plan? Because you have a party background, especially, Callum. What's your plans for Reclaim to end this sort of chaos?
Right. What do you mean? Well, first of all, we're just going to do.
It seems to be a cycle, isn't it? Either side, they don't seem to work out. You have left side, on your left hand you have another general election might cause even more damage. On the right hand, you have betrayal of public trust. How would you end? Now is the situation like that. You are tied from either hand. What would Reclaim Party, your party, do to end this?
I think I don't know what you're kind of asking, but
what's your plan? Because you're from Reclaim, what's your party's plan to actually get a grip of this problem?
Well, first of all, we're just going to attack them over and over again. We're going to pressure them to resign. We're going to do everything we can, protest everything. We need to stop this coalition. And first of all, I think King Robbie has kind of messed up here a lot. He can't really do anything. He's messed up here. He's worried about his reputations and Tom. He doesn't want to be compared to Tom. But what he's done is he's done worse than Tom. That's the thing. He's forced a coalition. No one wanted it. We'd rather much have an interim government that would sort out... this election was done within a week. Well, 3 days. Because we had 3 days campaigning and then it was state opening after. It's complete shambles. King Robbie has messed up for everyone. We should have an interim government for 1 week. Parties sort their stuff out. Summer holidays, we get back into it, and it's election time.
So that's your solution. You want a caretaker government that is neither Reba or Marcus.
Because King Robbie's gone with a coalition that we're probably going to be stuck with.
So your message to King Robbie is that to withdraw his decision to form a coalition and implement a caretaker.
He can't. He's messed up. He's gone too far into it. If he did, he'd look even worse.
So would you say you'd rather have Robbie as the king? Would you say you lost confident in Robbie as the king?
No.
No, but you are just dissatisfied about this decision.
Yeah,
I think we have Funky Monkey back, and we have a new call-in from Kian. Would like to have a word.
Hello, Kian.
Funky Monkey first.
Oh.
Later, sorry. Funky Monkey? Okay, it has to sing about...
We've got Kian in the studio. Ask him.
Okay, can we start with you, Kian? Are you for or against the coalition?
Hi, it's a I'm completely against it. I think it is an absolute shambles, and it makes an absolute mockery of the democratic process in this country.
So true.
Well, so your point is basically the voters do feel this kind of frustration to the coalition.
Well, I think if we look at the campaign, Labour campaigned on being anti-conservative. The Conservatives campaigned on vote us and Labour will not be in power. And the two have got together despite no voters at all wanting it. Fair enough if you voted Progressive or Reclaim or wanted a coalition, but no one wanted this. It is an absolute shambles from the top to the bottom. And I think the King forcing this coalition is disgusting.
Can I
Absolutely,
ask?
he should not be involved.
Keen, would you rather had this coalition or interim government?
Well, that would fully depend on what the interim government entailed and who was in it. But say we
if
had
they did nothing at all, they're just there to take over for a week. Would you rather that?
I'd have a month interim government because it's quite obvious the entire scenario is an absolute shambles. It's absolutely disgusting. For a start, we need to be talking about the key issues. We need to just stop oil. Why is no one talking about that?
Oh, you're gonna get banned. Group staff, help.
Mate, no. Right, I think it's absolutely disgraceful that
sorry.
This government, will last about 2 weeks, and it'll just do nothing the entire time. Nothing at all, and it's a shambles. And I
think we have a Funky Monkey have said it on the text because he sadly is struggling to connect with the voice chat. He said, that's what he said. An interim government isn't a terrible idea. I probably support it, but at the end of the day, is the final choice will always be of the party leadership.
What? That's rubbish. The party leadership didn't want this coalition. The King forced it. I don't know what
Exactly.
you're saying.
The people in government did not want to be in government. That is.
I think that is also why this kind of situation is frustrating, because you see, not even government want to be in the government. The voters are unhappy.
Robbie cares more about his reputation. He doesn't want to look.
Other people might be even more unhappy by an election. So you can see in my left hand. I can't show my hand on Roblox, sadly. But on the left hand,
that's a great shame.
I'm not sure if someone can Photoshop my left hand and right hand on the television. So my right hand is tied because another election might be even more chaotic, and my right hand is no one is happy about the coalition government.
No one is.
Absolutely.
Apart from these sheep MPs who follow their little leader.
Right. So thank you very much for the input, Kian. And I think we have communicated a lot. A lot. I think Sarcastic Londoner, who's by the way the person running this. We have Reba asked. We have a lot of people coming in now. We have the King. I believe
Oh my
yes.
God.
I was looking to end this show, but seemingly it gets a lot more exciting. We have now have Ben Henley. We have His Royal Highness. I'm sorry.
Prince of Wales.
The Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales. I'm sorry.
He thinks he's
and
in, mate.
Joe the Tackle Man. So I believe we can start with His Royal Highness. His Royal Highness.
I don't think he wants to talk.
I don't think he wants
Keep
to
him silent.
He's shy. He's so shy.
He's come here to defend a finished institution. Finished.
Yeah, the royal family is finished.
I hope as the host of the show, I hope
You okay, Callum?
we are respectful. I hope we are.
Here, guys.
I hope we can.
He sent me what he wanted to say in DMs. He just wanted to say that politics is finished, basically. And
His Royal Highness.
Yeah.
I see.
Can I also say, by the way?
And
Would
he
I
said
be able to?
he said he wants the king to abdicate.
Oh,
is this true?
I have now had. I wish to apologise for disruptions. I have now had breaking news.
Guys, by the way, DNC Hunter, he said Ben Henley was.
I have breaking news. Breaking news means breaking news.
That's a lie. That was last.
Guys,
that was last time.
Be quiet.
Callum Cathcart, stop this at once. We've got a QB exclusive.
It's some more breaking news than the explosion. The foreign minister, Jisun Minsung, have been served with papers for fraud by abuse of position by the Crown Prosecution Service.
She's the former Prime Minister.
It's a shambles from the top to the fucking bottom.
Get him gone.
Hey, is this real? Is this real?
That is what I have got from him.
Wow.
What are you doing?
Oh my god.
Reba, would you like not to dance in front of my...
Yeah, Reba.
Jay, can I just ask a quick question?
Can I say something?
Yes. That is what I got from from Adapter
Can I
Frost.
ask you a question? Can I ask you a
Yes.
question? 1 second, I need to get the thing up.
I got this news from...
I'm not prepared for this.
Jay, you know, at the end of the day,
So-
Reba at store, a cereal.
Your haircut from Sir's Barbers. How was it?
It was great. Thank you very much. Let's get back to the
Let's get
breaking
back
news
to the
was
key
ended.
issues, please.
Get back to the key issues.
Pretty cute.
Would you like to repeat the message by His Royal Highness?
Crazy.
Would you like to repeat the message by
His
His
Royal
Royal
Highness,
Highness?
Highness said that basically in essence,
No,
I love Jay Chan.
Matt Ban?
Subscriber.
Right. Would the person who did broadcast the message from His Royal Highness to repeat?
Yes.
Can we confirm the CPS thing, by the way? Is that real? The what's it called? CPS.
It's confirmed.
Can you send it to me?
All right. So
It's confirmed. It's a shambles from the top to the bottom.
Is there a GB News breaking news? What's it
Pop
called?
on. I'm not sure if Tim is prepared. A GB News. A pop on of a breaking news. Would Reba, please, for the love of God, stop dancing on my table? Thank you very much.
Why is there a tiny Weaver dancing on your desk? And she
Now
died?
she's dead.
Jay Chan.
Shut
May I ask an
up,
urgent question,
shut
Jay
up,
Chan?
shut
Jay, you know, before I leave, I just want to say,
Yes. Please let Matt be heard.
stories have called, they've literally abused, harassed Reba Store on all of her electoral losses. She's lost so many elections, and now they've just got in bed with her. So,
Yeah, where's Willy Wonka gone?
Jay Chan.
as far as I'm concerned, both
Yeah,
parties
I will take it in turn. I'll take it in turn.
They have betrayed the British people, and honestly, it's a fucking shambles. So
It is.
Thank you, Matt. And I think I see Benjamin Henley to be here and Joe the Tackleman. They are waiting on the list now. So Benjamin Henley, would you like to have a word on the coalition? Are you for or against it?
Oh yeah, I'm massively for it. No, obviously against. Use your brain.
So
Are you for or against it?
You just said he's for it. You just said he's for it.
Reba, please.
Reba Asta, please stop it.
Thank you very much.
Take an estrogen.
Prime Minister.
Anyway,
Prime
take
Minister,
an estrogen. Anyway, I'm against the coalition.
Yeah, you're against, and why?
Why? It's finished.
He's a
It's a
nuke.
shambles. What? You literally sound like a man. Shut up.
Yeah, I do like to highlight the fact that despite many people would have unexpected it, the Prime Minister seems to be a man. So yes, Benjamin
This is
Henley.
real, guys. By the way.
What the fuck
Benjamin
are you
Henley.
seeing?
Benjamin Henley.
Jay
would
Chan's
you
being
like to-
sexist and transphobic.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, that's your end of your message. So Joe the Tackleman, are you for or against the coalition?
Well, Jay Chan, if I may say, I think
Mhm.
the real question here is, when are you forming the Conservative Party?
I don't think that is relevant to the part.
No, it is
not-
because, we need to overcome the division in Parliament by you forming the Conservative Party and taking over.
So true.
That is what the nation needs.
So true.
I'm not sure if that is the correct solution to the current problem. I don't even know a lot about this sort of UK or this entire community.
Nor does
online
anyone, mate.
community. I just like to be in part of it, be a part of the game. Really, I don't really have something that solid. Just playing a part of it. So, Joe, Joe the Tackman, would you like to answer the question? Are you for or against the coalition?
Well, I suppose it depends whether it's led by Jay Chen or not.
It's not led by me, and sadly.
Oh, then it's finished. We don't like it. We don't support it.
Thank you very much, Benjamin Henley. Thank you very much to every guest. I think we have to call an end to today's show. We see many opinions being thrown around today. Tim, would you like? Yes, thank you very much to the camera. we're seeing many opinions thrown around today saying I'm for or I'm against the coalition. People who are
Bless
for
him.
it believe this coalition is the solution. They believe that another general election will be catastrophic, and people who are against the coalition believe it betrayed the British people's will. What do you think? I believe you can always get in touch with JB News for the next show of the J Factor. And that's where I'd like to especially comment on some of the new ideas we reached in this show. I believe Callum has suggested a caretaker government. So until the for summer holiday, when we can call another general election, where things can probably get better. Well, thank you very much. I think everyone with different ideas, very many different ideas all around the UK, can contact GB News by our server and by myself.
True.
And thank you very much, Callum, for dancing behind me. I really love your dance. Thank you very much.
We need the channelation! The channelation!